Hello and welcome to episode 61 of our Conversations to Connect, Let's Get Real Talk, powered by Exceptional Connections. I'm Cyndi ONeill-Dady, the founder and chief connector of Exceptional Connections since 2009. At Exceptional Connections, we offer intentional and innovative solutions to boost your business. Each month, we nominate a different member of our Exceptional Connections community to have a meaningful conversation with. So be sure to make yourself comfortable with a cup of tea or a beverage of your choice. Got filtered water here. Yes. And, I see some water glasses being lifted. Awesome. So be sure to add your comments, questions in the chat box to engage with us during our conversation. But around the 45-minute mark, I'm going to unmute the lines and invite our listeners to ask questions, share their ahas, epiphanies, and of course, enter into our thought-provoking conversation. So in the course of these 61 episodes, we've encouraged and supported our community to stay connected during these challenging and uncertain times. So as we get started here, I invite you to set aside all distractions and invest your attention to the conversation that is about to unfold. And I want to encourage you just to look for one idea that you can take away and put into action so that you don't cheat yourself out of the time that you've invested here. So our conversation to connect this week is with the amazing Carolyn Carman from Edmonds, Washington. Welcome, Carolyn.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
I'm so excited. We've been talking about this for a while now, and I'm looking forward to our topic, have your hormones hijacked your body? Great conversation, right? Or great topic. So before we dive in, I thought I'd just take a moment to introduce Carolyn to our listeners. So Carolyn Carman has been a health food agent and wellness educator for the past 24 years. She's been studying the benefits of fruits and veggies and whole foods for years. Yay. Her mission started from helping her son get well from a chronic illness. Wow. Want to hear more about that. And she is a change agent. She's an agent of change for those looking to take back control of their health naturally and through Mother Nature's FARMACY with an F. She is a certified shred coach. Need to understand that that's losing weight, I imagine, and helps people with a 10 Healthy Habits program that gets great results. Carolyn is also a Tower Garden farmer. We'll hear more about that towards the end of the program. And she grows her own produce as well as in the ground. Carolyn is a marketing director with Juice Plus and offers support on menopause, cancer, diabetes, autoimmunes, health, brain health, and more. So welcome again, Carolyn. And as you get going here, be sure to share with our listeners a little bit more about your journey before we dive into the topic of, how have your hormones hijacked your body?
Perfect. Thank you, Cyndi.
You're welcome.
Just since my son was mentioned in there, I'll go way back because that's when my mind got opened up to new possibilities because I was looking for a solution for him and the doctors just wanted me to put him on medications and give him a label. And I wasn't up for that because it was only 2.5. Oh, he was about 2 actually. And so I started learning about the power of whole foods and how whole foods heal and repair the body. And then I was introduced to a whole food concentrate plant powder. And within a couple months, my son was no longer sick chronically. I mean, we'd gone to the hospital twice in ambulance. We were just constantly sick. And I just was grateful that I was learning. I took him to Bastyr and got him off of dairy and sugar. And my world started opening up to what plants could do for you. So that's how I got involved with this about 24 years ago. And it's just been we're constantly learning more about what Mother Nature does and how her pharmacy with a F can heal and repair the body. So I'm still fascinated. We still keep learning more. And my journey with the hormones started I've been in menopause for a good 15 years, way over 15. I feel like I got a frog here, excuse me. And about 2.5 years ago, I had some stress in my life, intense stress. And I wasn't feeling well, and I went to a naturopath, and she put me on some low dose steroid, and my body had a reaction to it, and I had high blood pressure. Mind you, I've never had high blood pressure before, ever. And she said it was a very low dose, but even when I got off of it, I couldn't get my blood pressure down. So I was looking. I had not only that, I had hit a peak weight, other than pregnancy. And I was like, I have to do something. Something's got to change. This is not going to keep going this direction. And some friends of mine, holistic nutritionist and a naturopath, and then an exercise physiologist were putting together a menopause reset course. And so it just seemed like perfect timing for me. So I decided to do it. And I did it for 8 weeks. And what I loved about it is it's 8 weeks of education about our bodies. And us women, we are so fascinating. Like I had no idea about half of this stuff that they taught us. And I felt so much more empowered. And we followed their guidelines. They have guidelines in a guidebook and et cetera. And I did it with a number of friends. And at the end of that, well, I didn't tell you the part where my doctor told me that I needed to start monitoring my blood pressure. And I was like, I don't want to monitor my blood pressure because that feels like I'm focusing on the problem.
Right.
So after about 2 weeks, I stopped doing that, and I was just doing my program, which basically is a lot of it is an anti-inflammatory diet and eating healthy and clean and learning why we're doing all these things. And at the end of it, I was amazed. I went back to the doctor. My blood pressure was 118. It was 80 over 118 or 18. It was good. It was good.
In the normal range, right?
It was back in the normal where I'd always been. It was back there. Plus, I lost 15 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And my doctor was impressed too. She goes, for your age, in 2 months doing this, that's amazing. And for you to lose 15 pounds in your age that fast, that's amazing. So I was super excited. I mean, I hadn't kind of gone back into that weight, that number. I hadn't been in that number for a long time. I mean, I don't know if it had been 20 years, but and mind you, I only fluctuate about 15 pounds. That's pretty much me, 15 to 18 pounds. That's pretty much where I'm at. But so it was like I was ready to learn. I wanted to make some changes because I wasn't going to settle for that. That wasn't going to be me. I did not want to be on medications.
Right.
And that's what opened my doors for my wanting to learn more.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I love the term that you used, menopause reset, because we can do that with our health. And it's not only a physical reset, but also a mental reset, don't you think?
Totally. Mindset plays a big role into it. Yes, one of the weeks is on mindset.
I love this. This is so great. So let's jump right in because we have a lot to talk about. You have just a wealth of information that you want to share with our listeners, and we want to make time for questions at the end as well. So what are the signs of menopause? Because people might not really understand the different phases that women go through. So can you kind of line us out on that?
Sure. I'll tell you some of the common ones, but there's something like, I don't know, 80 or more, believe it or not. But
wow.
the common ones are belly fat, brain fog, mood swings, dryness, vaginal dryness and other dryness, hot flashes, chills, feeling like you're losing your mind, your memory. It's all related.
And weight too, right?
Yeah, that belly fat, weight.
Yeah,
Noticing that
right.
you gained weight. Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
That's the most frustrating of all. So, okay, that's good. And then there's premenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal. There's different stages of menopause as well. What are the distinctions between those stages?
Well,
Other than the
before
obvious
you go,
age.
yeah, some people as early as in their um, early 40s can be in premenopausal, or if they've had cancer or some kind of treatment where it's threw them into it, it could be
Right.
earlier. And then menopause is when your period has stopped for at least a year, and then postmenopause is when um, uh, you've been past it for a period of time. And
Mhm.
like, mind you, I've been past it like a good 15, 16 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hooray for that.
And what I didn't know was you'll be in menopause till you die. Like, people go, I'm already done with menopause. It's like, yeah, but there's some things you want to know about postmenopause.
Right.
That's what I didn't know. And that's what made me even more
Mm.
excited to learn about this. Because some of the
Mm.
things that we have to worry about in postmenopause, our risk goes up in regards to heart disease, strokes, um, osteoporosis, lead
Wow.
poisoning, urinary incontinence, and oral issues.
Wow, that's a lot. I had no idea.
I didn't either. And I was like,
You want to, that's a good reason to monitor, right? To be, aware of the stage you're in and the things that you need to do. We need to give our body to help us gracefully transition through all that, right?
exactly. I want to go back to what you said even a minute ago, because it's still on my mind about the weight gain and the belly fat. Because our ovaries, when we are done with menopause, um, or kick into menopause, our ovaries are no longer making very much estrogen at all, and progesterone. And so that is, the belly fat helps us make estrogen. So that is part of what's going on. So actually,
Mm.
our belly fat is trying to do its job for us, because now our ovaries aren't doing their jobs for us any longer. And so that's um, another reason why it's so important to kind of know where you're at, know your levels, kind of have a feel of your dashboard so you can start to learn about
Thank
that.
you for sharing that. I've never heard it put so clearly. That's really a good explanation, because you notice, especially, you look around at our society right now, and that is something with women of a certain age. That's the challenge that they have, right? And it's across the board in our society. Whereas, I remember years ago, you would have women with different physiques, but now it seems like, with the exception of you, of course, but women of different physiques where they, you had some that were thinner and some that were, but now it's like, it's a chronic problem. So what can we do about that?
Well,
What have you learned?
I have learned, I started learning from a woman that was online, and I followed her for a good year and a half, 2 years. And I did learn from her. Her program was very expensive, so I never did it. And it was a year-long program. And then these other friends of mine that my naturopath now, she's been studying hormones and is an expert in hormones for 20 years, and she's also in menopause. So, I want experts on my team, in my healthcare arena. So,
Right.
and then the holistic nutritionist, her and the exercise physiologist I was mentioning earlier, they had showed a video of where they were, and after they kind of tweaked their program, where they were 8 weeks later. And they finally honed it down. And what was interesting is they each have a different physique. And one of them is exercise physiologist, so she works out all the time. The other one and they both had gained, one, I think she went from 140 to 180 in a year. And the other one had gained 2, and they were showing the pictures of before and after. And one had burnt out adrenals. And so
Mhm.
you have to know where you are. You have to kind of take a survey of where you are, so you know what to do, because you could be doing things counterproductive for yourself, for your body, if you don't know
Yes.
if you have adrenal burnout or not. And I
Yeah.
have adrenal burnout. But I've been doing this now for over a year and my adrenals aren't the same. So when I exercised this one time, I had got plenty of sleep. I was doing really good, but I was still in the adrenal burnout. But I did yoga one day, and I didn't do, I didn't do a whole hour, but I hadn't done yoga for a while because they were telling me with adrenal burnout, I should just be doing gentle stretches and walks and getting tons of rest, like tons of rest. And I did this yoga this one day, and then the next day, I believe it was a Sunday, I was wiped out and I couldn't figure it out because I'd had a really good night's sleep. And then on Monday in our class, we were talking about exercise and adrenals. And I had pushed myself too hard. And so it showed up the next day. I was exhausted. So even that little bit shows. So until you get your adrenals healed, there's certain things you should do and not do.
You know what? I'm so glad you're talking about that because that's so important. And that's one thing I'm experiencing in my own health journey is because I've had my adrenals taxed as well. And I'm in the process of, and it's a slow process of rebuilding your adrenals. But a lot of people think, oh, I need to do more sit-ups. I need to run a marathon. I need to run. I need to whatever, but not realizing that it's counterproductive. If your body isn't at a place where it can, really be stable enough to handle that kind of, exertion, it does pull you backwards. And so I do Pilates once a week, and I've actually stopped doing, I was doing Reformer 1.5 and 2, which is the higher levels. And now I'm doing more of my Restore and Center and Balance classes. And I'm finding that my body is handling that better. And I might do a few more reps, than they tell you to do, just to kind of get a few more reps in there, but it's not taxing and it feels restorative. So I think it's really important, the point you just brought up, that we have to be aware of where we're at and not just push our bodies, right?
What I hear you saying, and I really honor that and find that's really important. What you mentioned is you're listening to your intuition, you're honing into your body, you're paying attention.
And we need to do that.
We do. Us women, we kind of push through too often. I mean, I'll speak for myself, but I don't think I'm alone.
No, I think we tend to do that. We're just, we get it done. And, I think to slow down and listen to our bodies is an important thing. Be aware of, what the lay of the land is in terms of what people are going through at the different stages. But I think to slow down enough to really listen to your body and what your body's telling us is so critical. So one of the things that you talked about in your notes that I'm really intrigued about is when you talk about toxins in our body and how that impacts this whole conversation we're having, and, the importance of really escorting, I like the terminology, escorting toxins out of our body. So tell us more about that.
We live in a very toxic world, whether we're talking about, just our shoes coming in the house, or we're talking about products that we use, household products, or, oftentimes it's the products we put on our skin. And it's just the products that are here that we can't really avoid them. They're in our air, they're everywhere, and they're in our food, like hugely in our food. But toxicity is one of the biggest cause of disease and imbalances of the body. And what escorts toxins out? I have a feeling you're going to know, Cyndi. What escorts toxins out?
Well, I use chlorella. It's a binder that helps pull it out. So chlorella, and then also, let's see what,
Fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetable, water.
Fruits and vegetables and water are what bind them out. This is the most fascinating. We have a friend of ours, that's her whole practice she's a functional medicine doctor. Her whole practice is about toxicity, and she recommends, plant powders and as many fruits and vegetables as you can get in your body. And there's also at one time when I did a cleanse before I kind of did this program, the juice lady, Sherry Caldwell, she talks about, people do these water fasts and different things. She goes, you will bind and pull out more toxins by doing vegetable juices, things without sugar, not the high, you can have certain apples and different things like that, green apples and stuff, but it will pull out toxins faster than just doing a water cleanse or any of those kinds of cleanse. And so we want to get them out because there's 2 stages of detox, phase 1 and phase 2. And we are taking in so many xenoestrogens, which are from plastics and from just the products we use. We're exposed to it all the time. And those estrogens are harmful to our body. So if we're not getting enough fruits and vegetables, and I'm going to put a plug in here for non-GMO water wash soy, because water wash soy will also make a huge difference in phase 2 of getting those estrogens out of your body, helping the process of with your liver, getting those escorted out of your body. So have you noticed how many more hormone related cancers there are these days? That's part of the program, is that we have too many xenoestrogens and toxins in our world, and we're not getting enough. We're not getting a clean, we might start phase 1, but if we're not getting what we need in phase 2, it's doing more damage than good. So really important.
So some examples of ways that we get it into our system is, through drinking out of a plastic bottle, right? And the toxins, the detergents in our home.
Think about the Keurig machine, the black plastic Keurig machine that people make coffee with. That's plastic again. There's so many things that have the xenotoxins in it, plus all the, the different.
We want glass.
Yes, I love it. Glass.
Drink from glass, right?
Yes, or BPA plastic, but glass is best.
Yeah, the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, but even look at like some of the things that we buy that are in plastic at the grocery store. So, and most people know never to microwave with plastic, but I'm not even a proponent of microwaves. I think they should be used for on a boat to hold the boat in place. That's what they should be used for. Because you're radiating your food.
I know. It's true. It's true. Yeah, especially, oh gosh. And then if you're using plastic in there, it's just terrible. Okay, so we're talking about the estrogen or the toxins and how, how they're in our world everywhere. But it just reminds me also of like detox. When we detox our body, because we heard that term, right? And we all think, oh yes, I need to get the toxins out. I need to detox. But sometimes we need to do it gently. Going in, I found for myself, if I do a very aggressive, kind of purging or detoxing, for me, because of issues I've had in the past, it actually comes out in my skin. I'll have a rash or something on my chest or on my arms. And now, I didn't know for a long time, but now I know my body is detoxing inappropriately because my channels are blocked. The normal channels for getting things out of the toxins out of my body for some reason are blocked. And so that's a sign for me that, okay, I need to like slow it down, or I need to figure out what do I need to nourish or clear before I can do a detox. So what are your thoughts on that?
I love that question because it goes back to, well, I'm going to just mention, we talked about me being a certified shred coach, and the shred is basically 10 healthy habits. But I'm going to talk about Juice Plus, which is just literally concentrated fruit and vegetable powders that have been vine ripened, are non-GMO. They use the whole plant. They put it in a slurry and juice it within 15 miles of the farm. And then they extract the water, and out with the water comes the sodium sugar. So you're going to, I take 30 plants a day. So this is one way, because most of us don't get 7 to 13 every day. That's what they recommend. If you're an athlete,
hard to do. It's hard to do.
Or if you're an athlete, they want you to eat like 18 servings, and a serving is the size of your fist. And if it's a cup, if it's a green leafy, it's got to be a cup to be a serving. So I mean, we're just busy in life. We don't normally do that, right? So
Yeah.
Juice Plus fits into an excellent way to start the detoxing process. And Dr. Sachs talks about that in all of her detox talks. So I've done different things too, like I said, but they've been harsh. And this is a gentle way. So there's a plant-based shake you do. There's the capsules with the 30 fruits and vegetables. Or you can do the soft chews. I recommend the capsules because they have a little bit of fiber in them and a little bit of probiotics. And those are a great start. And then you can advance to, the other 10 healthy habits. But I always, some people are ready to just go, but like, I like them to start out for a month or two and just get that in their system. Unless they're like, have the support and ready and willing to go, then they can follow the other 10 healthy habits. And we have a support page. You get me, and I give you tips and recipes. And I think people need support. There's programs and products, but without support and learning, I don't know that it sticks, for the majority of people.
Yes, I agree. Tell us more about the other 10 healthy habits. Can you name them or?
Sure. You want to give up the inflammatory foods. So you want to give up wheat, dairy, processed sugars, processed foods. You want to eat as clean as you can with fruits and vegetables and lean, clean meats. You can have some whole grains like quinoa, but it depends on your level of what your goal is with that. But quinoa is fine. And you want to get plenty of sleep. You want to drink plenty of water. You want to exercise 4 to 5 days a week, at least 20 minutes, kind of like an intense walk or something, because you want to get moving, because without movement, you're not helping your body escort things out.
Right.
That's just the minimum, 20 minutes, 4 times. I would actually say 4 to 5 times. But, just a walk with some intensity, you don't have to, whatever your level it is, just move. Because when you're moving, you're starting to escort the toxins out. I wonder what else you take the Juice Plus capsules and you do the Juice Plus shake. The best results are if you do 2 shakes. I usually do one of the shakes in the morning, and then sometimes I'll have either a salad or quinoa salad or some veggies and hummus for lunch. And then I'll do my shake at about 3:30. I push my limit. You want to eat in the window of 10 to 6 for the most part, if you can. Even intermittent fasting is what we're doing in the Menopause Reset, which is even a little less. But you want to not eat late, because eating late, your body is working to digest your food instead of giving it the rest that you want. You won't go into that restful sleep if you're eating. And so the second shake, both the shakes help you balance your blood sugar, and they are delicious. They are very delicious. Sometimes I just do water and the protein shake mix, which has the water wash soy in it and all other plants. It's got a number of plants in it. And then maybe I'll put a little cinnamon in and a little ice and do my shake, and it balances your blood sugar. So when now you're going to eat your dinner, your clean, healthy dinner, which would be lean meat, and if you eat meat, and vegetables and salad, you're not going to be super hungry because you balanced your blood sugar at 3:30 with that shake. That's why people wait too long, and then they're hungry, and then they overeat.
They overeat, yes. Okay, we've talked, kind of through this whole conversation about the importance of nutrition, and then the need of supplementation because of the condition of our food right now, which is, really lacking in the nutrients that it had years ago. So tell us more about that, because like you were talking about even spinach. Compare spinach to now versus spinach grown 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Our produce isn't what it used to be. The
No.
quality, the soil isn't, and they're reusing the soil over, and then they pick it too early, and then it's sitting out there for too long before we get it. But the quality of the produce is not anything like it used to be. And I think it's University of Southern California did a study on the spinach, and 20 bowls of spinach would equal, it would take 20 bowls of spinach to equal what spinach was 20 years ago. That's how less nutrient dense the product is, or the produce is. And it's partly because they're picking it early. They don't let it vine ripen, which is when the majority of the nutrients end up in the plant. So you've had a tomato or an apple off a tree and tasted the difference. Same with all the produce. Quality of food is beginning to become more and more important because it's changing. The prices are going up. It's not the same as it used to be. There just
Right.
was a recall recently on 4 states on romaine lettuce because of deer dropping. Like I've shared with you about growing your own food. I think you're the expert at growing in the ground, Cyndi, because you know how to make your soil so rich. I'm the tower garden farmer, and I like to teach people how to grow their own in an aeroponic growing system. In fact, do I have a picture? I'll just show that here. This is my big passion. I have 2 of those downstairs, and one's 7 feet tall and one's 5 feet tall. And I've started growing them in one in January, mid-January, and the other in February. And I have lettuce and kale and basil and spinach and strawberries and tomatoes and
Oh, that's beautiful. And how nice that you can do it. Like I love growing a garden, during the spring and summer and early fall. But how nice to have fresh produce in the winter, right?
yeah, I grow all year long because I have lights on it. And the
Mhm.
more greens, talking about detox, the more greens you can get in, the better. And for menopause, the more bitter greens and beets. Like bitter greens and beets are like arugula and mustard and red sorrel. Like the bitter stuff is really, really good for hormones. And
That's
beets
good
are
to
really
know.
good for hormones as well.
That's good to know. Well,
Yeah.
yes, I mean, it's you mentioned it's all about the soil. The soil's so critical, and the minerals and vitamins, the trace minerals are missing and they're not added. I mean, even for my little backyard, organic garden, I'm doing multiple applications of, kind of fertilizer and amendments to it. I use the trace minerals of azomite and, depending on what I'm planting, I use the appropriate food for that. I put Epsom salt in there, lime for my squash. And, so it's just, I just realize how important that is. And at a mass production level in our society, I wonder if they're doing it to that extent. It seems like our soils are so depleted. We have this fruit that's at the grocery store that it looks good in some cases not so good, but it looks edible, it looks fine, but it's wholly lacking in the nutrition. And the study that you mentioned about spinach, I've heard similar studies with carrots. Like one carrot that you would eat 20, 30 years ago is equal to like what, 17 plus carrots now. It's a lot. So it shows that, we just don't have the dense nutrients in our food that we've had in the past. And so we do need to supplement or grow our own.
Yes, I believe. I mean, if you're not eating 7 to 13 serving of fruits and vegetables, yes, supplement. And what I love about Juice Plus 2 is there's 47 research studies done at major universities around the world. And then there's research done on the tower garden as well at the University of Mississippi, and there's more coming. We have 100 ionic minerals in that nutrient solution. So they did a test at University of Mississippi. The produce from the tower garden is more nutrient dense than anything grown in the ground, plus it grows 3 times faster, and it's a closed ecosystem. So you only use 10% of the water and 10% of the land. And as you know, things are changing. we're not going to be able to get the produce that we're used to get as time continues on because of the water. Look at how the water's drying up down south and stuff. So, as many greens, as many greens as you can get in your diet so that you're helping your gut, you're helping your hormones, you're escorting toxins out. Yeah. And if you're interested in joining us and being one of our buddies, we would love you to join us for the next menopause reset in September. Like I said, there's great support with a naturopath and a holistic nutritionist, and also the exercise physiologist. And let me tell you, the first gal that I was looking at, her program was $20,000 for the year program on menopause. And I'm like, I'm not spending $20,000 on a year program for menopause. And, I'm not sure if they're changing the price or raising it, but mind you, it was under $500 for 8 weeks education. And then they brought all kinds of other great speakers to support us as well. So it's loaded with knowledge and nutrition, so that I think when you know more about your body, it'll stick. I wanted to mention my dear friend Denise, that's actually here. She was the winner of the $500 best results for the last time. I've done it 3 times. I'm going to do it again because it keeps me really in check. But she has lost over 24 and something pounds and almost 28 inches since doing it. And she was feeling, I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth, but she was feeling like she didn't know what to do. She was kind of lost. She wasn't sure which direction she should go. And we talked, and I said, I don't think you will value this and you will get results. I promise you. And then did we talk about the Dutch test so that
No, yes, that's something I wanted to go into too, because you were talking about how important testing is to empower you. So do share with us a little more about the Dutch test.
That's why you want experts in the field, so that they can do a Dutch test, so that you can know what your dashboard is. Like if you're driving a car, you want to know where your oil is, you want to know where your gas is, you want to know where your hormones are. Because otherwise those symptoms, you're settling for symptoms that you don't have to settle for. Because when you start to balance those hormones, then you can start to get your mojo back. You don't have to be like, medical professionals, the regular kind of doctor would just say that's part of menopause. It's not just part of menopause. You just haven't met the right people to support you. So that's why I have so been promoting this, been excited about it, do it myself, because it takes a long time to change our habits. I can go back to my habits pretty easy, but by staying in, and you don't have to do it more than once, but for me, not only am I creating a community of other women that are interested in, having their mojo and living long and healthy and prolonging their prime. That's what I want. I want other women that want to prolong their prime and are willing to dig in and find out how you can do that.
Oh, I love that term, prolong your prime. Let's do it. Let that be a movement for us, right?
I agree.
Women of a certain age who at some point you think, oh gosh, I used to be this, I used to be a 6, I used to be, that we can actually live vital lives and be productive and have fun. And, we're not done yet. One of the things that I wanted to kind of circle back with was you were talking about how, let me see, it was in my note. Oh no, it's kind of alluding to the fact that, good nutrition builds us up. And when we eat processed foods, it tears us down. So it's all about, we do have control over that. But before we can really exercise that control, we have to be aware.
And that's why I think, like being in the educational process and learning what those things are doing, then, and also having support and also having a community that's doing it too.
Yes.
I just, a couple of the girls that did it with me the second time, they were younger. They were both just turning 50. And they were kind of like not sure what was going on with their body and couldn't get control of their weight and different things. But I forgot what my point was. They have kept they've kept those habits. They did it twice and they've kept those habits. And they've talked about what they've given up and how they don't feel like any of that's missing anymore. So it's changing your palate. And I truly believe that learning, if somebody's just telling you and you're doing it and stuff, if you're not learning why you're doing it, I don't think it's as powerful. I think we get drawn back into our old ways.
Yes, I agree. I agree. So what I heard you talk about is just the importance of finding good support, right? Expert support. And then I also love the way you talk about you don't have to settle. So tell us more about that.
Well, I just believe that we can be proactive rather than reactive. So why wait until something happens before
Right.
you decide that you're going to make a change? And if you're having issues or you're feeling a little off balance, don't settle. Reach out, find experts. I'm here to support you any way I can. I'll tell you whatever I can. If you're interested in any of the things I've talked about, I'm more than glad. But you deserve to prolong your prime and have your mojo and feel good into your all years.
Yes.
Don't there's a fabulous, I'm just going to put this last plug, fabulous talk by Dr. Christian Northrup about menopause. And I think if you Google it, you might be able to pull it up, Aging Goddesses or something. She makes fun of it. She kind of has a whole thing. She goes, we buy into society's kind of, this is what it's like in menopause. This is what it's like in old age. She goes, it's all BS. It's BS. You don't have to buy into that.
Mm-hmm.
What are you telling yourself? You don't have to settle.
I really like her too. She's a feisty gal.
She's fun too.
She
Her
is. She's
learning is
really fun, and I really like her perspective. And so kind of to put a bow around our conversation before we open it up for questions and answers, and just insights from our people who are joining us today. The importance of the relationship between nutrition and disease, and how that's such a big key to longevity. And people don't really understand that, because we can heal ourselves through food. And the pharmacy, FARM, right, versus the nutraceutical industry is so underrated, because that's what doctors prescribe. They won't tell you to go home and eat a trough full of lettuce, right? That's what when I was diagnosed with breast cancer 5.5 years ago, and I've chosen to go through that process naturally. And one of my mentors is like, eat a trough full of lettuce every day. It's like, I would never hear a doctor say that, right?
No, food is medicine. If I in food, actually, every single fruit and vegetable, there's an element. If you know the element chart, fruits and vegetables are correlated to your organs. The creator of Juice Plus picked the fruits and vegetables that correlated to make sure every organ was covered. And I have a talk about that that's only like 5 minutes long by my friend that's a holistic nutrition, because she said, I always heard that, but when I finally went and got my master's in holistic nutrition, she says, I really got it, how that is. But food is medicine. And if you saw a chart and what each fruit and vegetable does, you would be blown away. Like, we've got to go back to nature. We've lived on Mother Nature since the beginning of time, but we've gone too far the other way.
Yes.
So we've got to go back to the basics. And the blue zones, talk about people that are living past 100. They are all eating a plant-rich diet and not having all the processed foods, etc. And they're not taking medications and stuff. They're doing healthy things. So success leaves clues.
Yes, that's fascinating. I'm so glad you brought that up, because you're right. There are different regions in our world where people are, they call them centenarians. Is that it?
I believe so.
They live over 100 years old and consistently. It's not like a anomaly like in our culture. When we have somebody that lives to 100 or 103, they're like, wow, it's a, there's a group of people that have that longevity, and it's because of their lifestyle, and the region that they live in is very telling of that. So I think, I love the way you say success leaves clues, because it certainly does. So, well, this has been really fun, and I want to leave time for questions also. So,
can I leave one last point?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Do you have any parting words you want to leave our listeners with?
I'm open to questions, but for life, you want live foods. Live food has energy. We want energy. So you want more life, you eat more live foods.
Give us an example of your favorite. So I know that you have Juice Plus, and it's a great product, great resource, great supplementation. But what have you found that you've grown, that you find gives the most vitality and support for your body?
Well, I'm really big into kale. I love kale. Kale goes in my smoothie most days, either that or spinach. And I've got a chart. There's a Dr. Roy Vartabedian, that put a chart of things that have the most points food-wise. And blueberries, kale, like I don't have that chart right in front of me, but there are foods that are higher in nutrition than others. And, you want to stay away from the starchy white ones. Those aren't really, not that you can never have them, but instead of a potato, have a sweet potato,
Right.
And know if they're, GMO or not GMO, because you want to stay away from GMO foods.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that, because we haven't addressed that in our conversation today, and that's so important.
Right. So I'm not always buying organic, but for the most part, if I can get it, I will. And I make sure I clean my produce, but I grow a lot of my produce too. But, the darker color, the richer the color, the more nutrient density in a plant.
So, and again, the GMO meaning genetically modified. Anything that's genetically modified is not something that we want to put in our bodies. So I will be putting contact information to get a hold of Carolyn if you want to find out more about Juice Plus, or her hormone guide, menopause hormone guide. So you can go to carolyn@carolyncarman.com, or go to her website, carolyncarman.com. And again, that's in the description of this talk today. And then we want to also mention that you've generously offered a 30-minute Zoom or phone consultation to help rebuild our medicine cabinets, right? So tell us about that.
Building blocks. Find out what the building blocks that you want to get going with. Yes. Or, however I can help you. Because if I don't have the resource, I know somebody who does.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Carolyn. This has been great. And so feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions, you want to share your ahas, your epiphanies, or even your experience in working with Carolyn in the past, because I know she mentioned Denise. And so feel free to unmute yourself if you want to enter in the conversation.
I'd love to chime in.
Oh,
I'm always excited to support this message. It's so, so important. I mean, you're welcome. This is great. I'd never heard of this setup before. It's really fascinating. Wonderful. Anyways, yeah, I believe in whole food nutrition, and I've witnessed the benefits of it. And I mean, I just have so many stories, but anyways, I just really want to punctuate all the points that Carolyn made, because they're so important. I mean, I feel like sometimes we as people, buy into what society says or what they're pushing and everything. And there's always a way, if you have a dream about being healthy, or, getting energy or losing weight or whatever, there's always going to be somebody who has the answer as opposed to, the mainstream who says this is just how it is. And it's just frustrating out there to go to doctors and they have a canned response because they're not necessarily educated in some of them, not all of them, but some of them in the role that nutrition can play, and other things like supportive community, doing what you love, all these things help to nourish your body. We're talking about the physical things, but there's also, movement and being in nature and connecting with other people and sharing your unique gifts, like Carolyn's doing today, sharing her unique gifts with us. These are all really important building blocks for a life worth living and being fulfilled. And for me, I was looking for something for my body. I was struggling because I believe all these things, but my body I was holding on to weight. I had no energy, all these things. And Carolyn was sharing about this menopause reset. And I took that program most recently, and I couldn't believe all the pieces that fell into place for me personally. It was really great. I was able to, like she said, lose now 25 pounds, and I feel much better. I'm still working on some other pieces for my adrenals and so forth, but I'm so happy that I found this powerful message and got on the right track and got the support I needed. So, yay.
What a beautiful testimonial, Denise. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure. Of course.
I was so excited when she won the $500 because one of the contestants gets the $500, and it's like, yes.
Wow,
that was nice too.
You earned your, the tuition, right?
Yes, exactly.
You got that back. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I also want to just tell people to, it's this message is so important. It's important to get it out. So any venue we can put out there is important to spread the message that's possible. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to touch on one more thing, and then Gail, I think you wanted to share too. We want to hear from you. But I personally have friends who are, been through medical school, and they get very little training on nutrition. And a lot of times we think that doctors are, they're obviously doctors and they know a lot, but that's not an area that the medical school spent a lot of time in. And I think you were alluding to this, Denise, that some choose to, because of their personal interests, spend more time. So there are doctors that may be more knowledgeable, but in general, they aren't. And so I think it's really important, I know in my journey, my health journey with my health team, to take personal responsibility for, digging and finding out where where to buy your food, to be assured of the quality of it and be able to know, have a health team that can advise you and support you. And it takes a little bit of digging, because I went from the last 5.5 years not having a health team at all to having, Pilates. I do deep tissue massage once a month. I do cranial sacral once a month. I do acupuncture once a month. I have a nutritionist. I have a naturopath. And I'm so grateful for that. And then I meet wonderful people like Carolyn who can kind of fill in the gaps and help provide resources. So we all do need each other. And it is important to do that extra bit of digging to get the resources that we need. So wanted to throw that in there. So Gail, did you want to share?
I do. And I just want to say how, important this subject is. And I am so uneducated about everything Carolyn said that really I should be dead by now. I eat such terrible things. And, and I certainly don't eat 17 to 19 vegetables a day or fruits. I'm just, so I have learned a lot today. And, about menopause, I never experienced menopause. I didn't go through any of those symptoms that you said. And, I don't know why, but, and I just thought it was weird. It's just one day, my menstruation stopped, and that was the end of that. I never had hot flashes. I never had all those mood swings, and I don't know. Maybe some of us are just lucky in that way. I don't know, but I certainly appreciate, you educating us today on nutrition, and I really appreciate it. And thank you so much.
You're so welcome. 7 to 13 servings. Even 7. Yeah, even 7. And I didn't have menopause symptoms either when I was going through it like my mother did. I really didn't. I didn't have stuff until that high blood pressure stuff and weight gain. Then I'm like, okay, let's do something.
Yeah, my mom had it terribly, so I expected it, and I didn't have anything.
Well, we're all different, right? We're all different, and we respond to things differently, different times in our life. But I love all the simple things that you gave us, Carolyn, to be able to just, the awareness is so key. So drinking water and exercising and, just moving our bodies just to help to detox, the importance of staying away from the plastics, so that you have you called it xenoestrogens, yeah. And then being aware of inflammatory foods and, the intermittent fasting, you mentioned that's one thing I'm trying to do more and more, is to eat earlier and then push back later in the day when I eat. Although I do get up in the morning and I have my lemon, water with lemon to flush out my liver. But those little things, we just build on each other, right?
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
Nice. Well, would you like to leave us with any parting words that we can take with us as we kind of put a bow around this conversation that's been so intriguing? And thank you for all the wealth of information that you've offered us.
Oh, thank you so much. Just don't settle. You are worth it. You belong. You have the life you desire. Reach out and get the help you need. Don't settle.
Thank you. And again, anybody who is really intrigued by this conversation that we had today and the wealth of information that Carolyn has offered us, do reach out to her. I'll include her contact information in the description. And I just want to, just encourage everyone to remember to make every connection an exceptional connection. Thanks for joining us today. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.